God says this is not a joke because your life is not a joke, your destiny is not a toy, and the power inside you is not something ordinary. Something shocking can happen in 30 minutes, not because the universe wants to frighten you, but because breakthroughs often arrive suddenly, without warning, in a single moment that splits your life into before and after. Sometimes the most shocking thing is not disaster, not loss, not fear, but the realization that you were made for more than the version of yourself you settled for. The urgent message is not a threat, not a curse, not a warning designed to make you tremble, but a wake-up call meant to remind you that time is moving, life is unfolding. And your spirit is waiting for you to rise. Do not skip God, because when you skip the voice inside you, you skip the only compass that truly knows your path. Every time you ignore the quiet pull toward change, toward healing, toward courage, the world grows a little heavier, and your heart grows a little quieter. This message is not about fear. It is about the shock of remembering who you are in a world that keeps trying to make you forget. It is about opening your eyes before another hour passes, before another day blends into the next, before another opportunity slips through your fingers without you even realizing it was there. Something very shocking can happen in the next 30 minutes. You can decide that you are done carrying the weight that was never meant to be yours. You can decide that the pain that shaped you will not define you. You can decide that the people who doubted you no longer get a vote in your future. And the universe will shift the moment your mind shifts, because life bends toward the direction of your courage. You may not feel brave right now, you may not feel ready, you may not feel strong, but strength is not something you wait for. Strength is something you choose, often in the exact moment you feel weakest. God whispers that urgency not because your world is ending, but because your old world, the one built on fear, hesitation, and silence, has reached its limit. The shocking thing is not catastrophe, the shocking thing is transformation. Souls do not wake up gently. They wake up with jolts, with signs, with moments that stir your blood and make your heart question why it has been sleeping for so long. You are being shaken awake because the path in front of you needs your whole presence, not the half version of yourself you have been giving to life out of habit. The message is urgent because your dreams have been calling you for too long, and they are tired of ringing unanswered. There are seasons when life whispers and seasons when life pounds on your door. This is a pounding season. This is a moment that says, look at your life. Look at what you've allowed, what you've tolerated, what you've postponed. Look at how much you have carried alone. Look at how long you have doubted yourself. And now look at how much more is waiting for you. You were not born to shrink. You were not born to hide behind fear. You were not born to spend your life replaying old hurts or repeating old patterns. Something inside you has been wanting to break free, but you kept telling yourself you needed more time, more signs, more courage, more validation. But freedom doesn't wait. Purpose doesn't wait. The miracle doesn't wait. It rises the moment you rise. It moves the moment you move. It responds the moment you stop convincing yourself that someday is enough. God says this is not a joke because the light inside you is not a joke. The resilience you built in silence is not a joke. The fire that kept you alive through every moment that tried to break you is not a joke. You have survived storms that people don't even know about. You have walked through nights that left no footprints because no one else walked beside you. And yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still capable of choosing a life that honors who you really are. The shock is not what might happen to you, the shock is what can happen through you. In the next 30 minutes, you can choose to forgive someone who will never apologize. You can choose to release something that has been buried inside your chest for years. You can decide to stop proving your worth to people who were never capable of seeing it. You can decide to stop letting fear rent space in your mind. You can decide that the next chapter of your life will be the one you write intentionally, not the one shaped by pain. This moment is urgent because you matter. Your healing matters. Your future matters. Your joy matters. And you deserve to stop living as if you were created to simply endure. You were created to rise, to rebuild, to breathe in a way that doesn't hurt, to be the kind of person who wakes up one day and realizes that the miracle they always prayed for was themselves. God says don't skip this message, not because skipping it brings punishment, but because skipping it brings continuation of the life that exhausted you. You know you want better. You know you have outgrown certain situations. You know your soul has been whispering for change even on the days you pretend not to hear it. And the shocking thing is that your entire life can shift the moment you stop pretending and start choosing. You deserve peace that doesn't require you to shrink yourself. You deserve love that doesn't make you question your worth. You deserve opportunities that reflect your talent. You deserve connections that feed your heart instead of draining it. You deserve moments where you feel alive instead of numb. You deserve a life that feels like a blessing, not a battlefield. And you are closer to that life than you think. Even now, something inside you is awakening. Something is stirring that you cannot undo. A realization, a spark, a truth you cannot unhear. You are remembering your strength. You are remembering your purpose. You are remembering that you are not here to merely survive the world, you are here to shape it with the light you carry, and the most shocking part, you are ready. God says the next 30 minutes can open a door you didn't even know existed, because awakening never arrives politely. It arrives like a sudden breath after years of holding everything in. It arrives like a truth that finally becomes too big to ignore. It arrives like a moment where you look at your life and feel something shifting. Something cracking open, something rising that refuses to be pushed back down. You may not see the change happening yet, but you can feel it. Quietly. Deeply. Uncomfortably. Powerfully, there is a reason your heart is restless. There is a reason your spirit has been pacing inside your chest. There is a reason you feel pulled toward something you cannot explain with ordinary language. You are standing on the edge of a version of yourself you have not met yet, and that version of you is bold enough, brave enough, strong enough to step into the life you've been dreaming of. God is not warning you of danger. God is warning you not to abandon yourself. Something shocking happens when a person finally decides they have had enough, not enough pain. Not enough fear, not enough doubt, but enough of living beneath their own potential. That moment hits like a lightning strike. Suddenly your excuses fall apart. Suddenly your fears lose their authority. Suddenly your past no longer feels like a prison. Suddenly the world looks different because suddenly you look different from the inside out. This is the moment God is pointing to, the moment where you finally take your power back. You have spent years being loyal to things that hurt you. You have given your time to people who never appreciated what they held. You have watered relationships that were already dead. You have dimmed your light to make others comfortable. You have carried burdens that were never meant to be yours. And still, even with all that weight, something inside you refused to break. That unbreakable part of you, that quiet, enduring, sacred strength, is the voice God is amplifying right now. It is time for you to rise from the version of yourself that survived and step into the version of yourself that thrives. And it starts with a single decision you make in a single moment. Life does not change when the world suddenly becomes easier. It changes when you decide to stop postponing your own becoming. It changes when you look in the mirror and finally see someone worth fighting for. It changes when you stop living in reaction to your past and start living in devotion to your potential. It changes when you choose yourself, not selfishly, but fearlessly. The shocking thing that can happen in the next 30 minutes is clarity. The kind of clarity that breaks old chains. The kind of clarity that frees you from cycles you thought you were trapped in. The kind of clarity that lights a fire beneath your intentions and pushes you into motion without asking permission. When clarity arrives, things you used to tolerate instantly become unacceptable. People you used to chase suddenly feel irrelevant. Fears that once controlled you suddenly look small. And the world begins to rearrange itself around the person you are becoming. You have been waiting for an external sign. But the truth is the sign is already within you. The urgency you feel is not a warning, it is alignment. It is your soul's way of telling you that you are stepping into the moment everything begins to change. You are done with circles. You are done with repeating lessons you've already learned. You are done with shrinking to protect others from facing their own insecurities. God says this is the moment to stop avoiding the life you were meant for. The next 30 minutes may not bring a miracle falling from the sky, but they can bring a shift in your spirit that is far more powerful. You can choose to let go of something that has been suffocating you. You can choose to forgive yourself for things you thought were unforgivable. You can choose to believe that you deserve the blessings waiting for you. You can choose to walk away from what no longer honors you. You can choose to rise even if your legs tremble, Transformation does not ask if you are ready, it asks if you are willing to believe that your life has value, willing to believe that what broke you does not define you, willing to believe that you have survived enough, sacrificed enough, and shrunk enough, willing to believe that you deserve to feel lighter, willing to believe that you deserve a future that feels like freedom, not punishment. God says don't skip this moment because this moment is a threshold. Your life is trying to open. Your spirit is trying to expand. Your purpose is trying to breathe. And all it needs is your yes, your genuine, wholehearted, unstoppable yes. Your past was preparation, not punishment. Your pain was a teacher, not a sentence. Your loneliness was a pruning, clearing space for what is meant to enter your life. Nothing has been wasted. Nothing has been meaningless. Every heartbreak carved room for deeper love. Every setback sharpened your strength. Every disappointment taught you how to stand back up with more wisdom than before. The shock is not that life was hard, the shock is that you are still standing, and you are not just standing, you are awakening, and once a person awakens, their life can never go back to what it was, not after the truth becomes louder than the fear, not after the calling becomes louder than the excuses. Not after the desire to rise becomes stronger than the desire to stay safe. God says this is the moment. You stop negotiating with your destiny. No more waiting. No more postponing. No more half believing in yourself. No more apologizing for your light. No more allowing the past to write the future. This is your moment to step forward. God says the final part of this message is not an ending but a beginning, because the end of doubt is always the birth of destiny. You have carried so many stories inside you, so many chapters that felt unfinished, so many wounds that felt like they might never close. But you are reaching the point where your spirit refuses to live in the shadows of what hurt you. You are stepping into your own light, and that is the most shocking transformation of all. Not a miracle from the sky, not a sudden blessing falling into your hands, but the quiet, unstoppable moment where your heart says, I'm ready. Ready to heal. Ready to rise. Ready to receive. Ready to let go of what has been weighing you down for years. Ready to open your life to something bigger than the pain you've survived. There is a power inside you that has waited patiently for this moment. It has watched you break and rebuild yourself. It has watched you cry silently when no one knew the storms you were facing. It has watched you try to stay strong even on days when you barely recognized your own reflection. That power has waited for the day you would finally recognize it, not as a distant idea, not as a forgotten memory, but as the truth of who you have always been. God says the last message is simple: you were never weak. The world tried to convince you otherwise. Your past tried to convince you otherwise. People who didn't know how to love you tried to convince you otherwise. But the fact that you are still here, still breathing, still searching for meaning, still rising after every fall, is proof of a strength that cannot be measured or denied. In the next breath, in the next moment, in the next heartbeat, you can choose a life aligned with your worth. You can choose to stop breaking yourself to fit into places that were never meant to hold you. You can choose to stop settling for half love, half peace, half dreams. You can choose to stop apologizing for wanting more, for needing more, for being more. You can choose yourself in a way you never have before. And the moment you choose yourself deeply, fully, unapologetically, everything in your life shifts to match that decision. God says the urgency was never about fear, it was about awakening. It was about reminding you that life moves fast, and if you don't rise now, you may spend years replaying the same cycles, repeating the same pain, reliving the same lessons you were meant to graduate from long ago. You deserve more than repetition. You deserve expansion. You deserve the kind of life that feels like breathing clean air after years of suffocating. You deserve moments that feel like sunlight warming places inside you that have been cold for far too long. This last part is the reminder that your story is not over. The chapters ahead of you are not written in the ink of your past, they are written in the ink of your courage. The universe opens doors when your spirit opens. Life responds when you step forward. Blessings move when you move. Miracles reveal themselves when you stop hiding from your own truth. Fate does not chase those who stay asleep, but it runs to those who wake up. You are waking up now. The shock is not in the moment, it is in the realization of how much power you hold. The shock is in seeing yourself clearly, maybe for the first time. The shock is in acknowledging the greatness that has been quietly waiting beneath the layers of fear and doubt. The shock is in understanding that everything you went through, every heartbreak, every disappointment, every night you cried in silence, was shaping you, preparing you, refining you into someone capable of carrying a greater purpose. God says the last line of this message is not a warning, not a threat, not fear, it is a promise. A promise that when you stop running from your own calling, when you stop shrinking your soul to make others comfortable, when you stop living like your dreams are too much, too big, too impossible, your life will shock you in the best way. This is your moment. This is your shift. This is your awakening. This is your rise. Do not skip yourself. Do not skip your future. Do not skip your becoming. The universe is already rearranging in your favor, waiting for your yes. And once you give that yes, the world will never be the same again, not because it changed, but because you did.